Times have changed, and so has your car. And to get better gas mileage, the manufacturers are now making the parts a lot lighter. But that also means the parts that you once repaired when they broke must now be replaced. And our auto guy, Bowersock of West Escondido Auto, is here to tell us what we should do if our radiator leaks. Because in the past, I mean, that's a pretty big chunk of equipment like these here.
Correct.
And so could you just replace them or repair them in the past? Which would
In the
work?
past, you could actually repair these radiators. They're made out of brass. They come apart. They're actually soldered together. We'd take them apart and rod them out, put them back together, replace components, maybe the core or a can if there was a problem, which is the top headers, bottom and top headers are called cans. But nowadays, they've gone to a lighter aluminum plastic radiator.
Okay. And you can tell the difference. I mean, this one, like, you know, has kind of a solid sound, whereas this one's just, it really is plastic.
Correct. And this radiator here weighs about a third of what this radiator does.
Wow, so big difference there.
Big difference. And the reason they've gone to that, obviously, is to lighten up the cars. We're always trying to make cars lighter. They have to make them get a certain gas mileage depending on, you know, what kind of vehicle it is. And also, it's cheaper. The plastic is cheaper than the brass. Obviously, brass is a lot more expensive. And they can replace them when there's a problem with them versus repairing them. To try to repair this radiator here, to purchase the parts to do it would actually cost more than it would just with labor and parts than it would just to replace the whole radiator.
Huh. And I'm assuming that when you had the old ones, you'd also have to kind of diagnose the problem. You have to find out where it is. That's expensive. It takes time.
Correct. They would actually pressure test them, but we still pressure test these. The problem that we're seeing with a lot of the newer radiators is you get over 100,000 miles and somebody's overheated the car a few times. They get cracks in the plastic cans, things like that. So the radiator's just taken out, thrown away, and replaced with a brand new one.
So it sounds like then if you have the newer ones that you have to almost take better care of your car to prevent it from being stressed.
Correct. It's a good idea not to severely overheat your car when there's a problem with, you know, keep the cooling system serviced and flushed on a regular basis like we talked about before, and keep the corrosion. The actual channels inside of these are smaller than a lot of the older style radiators, so sediment can more easily plug one of these newer style radiators.
Well, I have to say this recently happened to me, so I feel like you're kind of preaching to me a little bit. But it seemed like from my experience with this that once it got heated, it just blew right away. So you have to kind of get on top of your game.
What happens is over time the plastic gets distressed from heating and cooling, unlike brass, which does not distress like plastic does. And then the can will actually just split, and you end up with a severe cooling system leak. And if you're not paying attention, and you obviously can overheat the vehicle, and if not only will you end up with a radiator leak, but you could damage the motor if you're not careful. So it's a good idea to keep the cooling system serviced. We pressure test them often when we service them, and advise somebody if we do start to see a leak on it.
Well, give us some telltale signs, because I had a leak and wasn't aware of it, and then boom, you know, had to get the car serviced very quickly. What things should people look for to know?
Often small drops of coolant on the ground, because when they start to crack, they usually don't just blow open. So small drips of coolant on the ground, and then what will happen is eventually, if you don't pay any attention to it, you end up with a major leak, because when it does blow, it goes.
It definitely goes. So new cars are the ones that are going to have these, and people should just really maintain their cars a little bit better, and then that way they can stay ahead of the game.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much, Brian. Always good information. If you have a question for Brian, you can also drop him an email on our website. Just go to fox6.com and click on Hot Topics, and you'll see the link there.